Can you hear me? Hi, everyone. We're going to get started now. So, first thing, I'm going to try and be off the cuff, but I'm never good at it. Tonight is our 3rd anniversary. This meetup was started June 2023. Fernando Labastida started it. He was at the first one, and then he went off to do other things. So, and I took over. But now we have almost 3,000 members, and it started because I got obsessed with AI and wanted to learn about AI. So what I did was I asked, people who know about AI to come in and share it with everyone, their knowledge, and then everybody else learns. And back then, 3 years ago, believe it or not, nobody knew anything. Now everybody's got a meetup, AI, some of these people weren't even in Austin back then. But we're still here. I'm still here. And I am so grateful for all of you to continue to help us and show up. And we're going to have some great speakers throughout the year. I try to stay, current with everything because I want to know everything. So now I gave you my big spiel, but I also need to say about what I do. I want to take 60 seconds. And did I tell you my name? Sharon DeCaro. To tell you what I do, my background. I studied computer programming, web development. I was a graphic designer. I have a marketing degree. I like school, okay? So I got into branding and strategy, and my new thing is, it's not new. I've been doing it about 3 years now. I help people with their content strategy, their personal branding, and coaching to help them find what their direction is. And the other thing I'm doing is career coaching. So people are, losing their jobs, getting laid off, and your LinkedIn profile has to target the recruiter. The keywords has to do that, all of that. So what I do, and if you also are going to start a business, we have to sit and talk about your ICP. So what I do is an audit of your LinkedIn profile. It's usually 7 to 10 pages to see where it is, and then we go from there. So that's basically what I'm doing. Also, I'm getting ready to do some online courses and other things and send out prompts, free stuff. So I have a newsletter. It's the AIAM newsletter. You can hit the scan code he's got right there on the screen. And also you can connect with me on LinkedIn, Sharon DeCaro. I'll put my QR code up next time, but try to remember I'm active on LinkedIn. I have almost 10,000 followers. It's my thing. So now I'm going to talk about tonight. We usually start at 7. We have networking from 6:30 to 7. And then from 7 to 8-ish, presentation, and then Q&A. If you parked in the building, I have $8 discount. Yeah, coupons. And just hit me up, come see me, they're right here, and I'll give you one. Don't leave this room tonight without getting it, so you don't have to pay $36. What else? Let's see. We need to be out of the room by around 8:30. I got to shut the door. Capitol Fair, Station Austin, they've rebranded. So now I want to give a huge shout out to Station Austin at the Capitol Factory. That is who our sponsor is now. They've rebranded. So if you're interested in joining Station Austin, go to the website or ask me about it. They have a lot of good, I don't know, I can't think of it right now. But so next thing, let's see. Oh, Station Austin is the key centers of gravity for entrepreneurs, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I think I covered that. Seriously, they sponsor us. They gave us this room. Let's, give them a big hand, please. Yay, woo, Station Austin. Yeah. No, really. I mean, Josh Bear, he's the one who, this is his thing, and I thank him for everything. and my coordinators, Eli Springer, and the other person who's helping him tonight is, I think his name is Jack Fisher. So now we're going to get to my speaker. He started coming to this meetup probably 2 years ago. He is brilliant, funny, and a friend. He's become a good friend and a mentor and a collaborator. I've done some work for him too in his LinkedIn. He's a seasoned engineer, leader, and founder of EricCorp Dev. He breaks down, I think I got the wrong description. Yes. No, I think I'm doing the vibe coding one. So anyways, the point is he spoke in December and he talked about vibe coding, and of course there has to be something wrong, right? And he's brilliant, and he talked about Claude Code. But tonight he's gonna talk about OpenClaw, and I had a whole long list for his presentation of what he's gonna do, but he'll tell you, when he gets up here. But know that this is OpenClaw, okay? OpenClaw, not vibe coding, not Claude Code. And without further ado, you've got to welcome Eric Albee, the man, the myth, the legend.
I assume you can all, okay, there we go. We're green, we're good to start, we're good to go here. Thank you, Sharon. I appreciate the intro, and big congratulations on getting this to the 3-year mark. For those who've lived in Austin for a while and follow Station Austin, Capital Factory, like the meetups and stuff, they're usually like here today, gone tomorrow. So carrying something over 3 years is not easy, and that's it's significant. So congratulations there. But welcome. We're going to cover OpenClaw today, and kind of go through how I've set it up, what my workflows are, and we can talk about that. And some of the precipice for this conversation was, I've been to, I come to these meetups. I've heard people talk about OpenClaw, people speak about it's all the rage, but I hear so many bad things about it. Like it's insecure. There's all these vulnerabilities. You can get hacked super easily with it. Kind of true, but also part of this is to demystify that fact yourself, and how you can set it up, how you can run it secure. Okay, no, we're back, but backups are good. So, okay, so okay, so OpenClaw came out in January 30th of 2026, and immediately went viral. So it's the fastest growing open source project on GitHub. It's over 250,000 stars by early March. Jensen Huang, CEO of NVIDIA, called it the iPhone moment for AI, and he's not wrong. And big companies are taking this seriously. OpenClaw was acquired by OpenAI shortly thereafter. The principle there though was keep the project open source, don't make it a walled garden, which is very important for the ecosystem with it. And corporations are dumping money into it. They're building out their own versions. NVIDIA has NemoClaw, which is a more secured version, and looking at that from enterprise deployment. So it's not going anywhere. It's not a fad. It's not a hype. It is really kind of that next level that sits on top of AI system. Okay, there we go. So that's kind of some of the history and just context of it. I'm sure who here has not touched AI, has not used it whatsoever. Yeah, shocker. So everyone uses their own, kind of has their own workflows, kind of has their own tool sets and such. And I would absolutely say it's like once you start using OpenClaw, like you're going to realize how you can level up your productivity with how you use AI, and how you like have your own workflows. And that's really like, the key thing with it. So with that, like kind of the key shift that you see as well is like you're no longer asking AI questions, you're delegating tasks to it. It can integrate with Gmail, it can integrate with your calendar, it can send emails on your behalf, it can do all this cool stuff, and you can just kind of set it up, let it run with what you feel comfortable with, and go from there. So that's very, very powerful compared to how these tools have like normally been, like if you're jumping in ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, whatever with that. So kind of the whole thing though is it's a very permissive system. It's easy to get on the wrong side of it if you expose your gateway. If you don't have something secure, someone can get in, someone can prompt inject. Like those are all material risks that do exist, but they're actually like pretty easy to solve for. It just takes a little bit of diligence, which we'll go through. But then, just a little bit about me. I run EricCorp Dev. It's a consulting advisory firm focused on technology and product. I've worked in startups on the engineering side for pretty much my whole career at various industries, various growth stages of startups. Really identified the opportunity with AI, where this was going, and went out to build my own advisory to help businesses build and focus on where this is all going. And I hit it at the right time because it was an inflection point last year where this all took off. So I've been very, very deep in the weeds with all of that. So connect with me on LinkedIn. That's where I hang out, just like Sharon does. My email address is there too. So if you have questions about the presentation, any of that, feel free to shoot me an email after or come talk to me after. And then just like a term of housekeeping, like hold questions to the end so we can like get through the content, get through demo and such, and then we'll roll from there. So, okay, and then we had this up. This is the QR code for the meetup and for what Sharon's going to be doing going forward. So definitely capture that as well. We'll have that at the end also. Yep. Yeah, it was up before we started, so we can blow through that one. Okay, so getting into this, these are kind of my disclosures and general AI tips just from my experience with this. And as I was saying, like I've been in technology, I've been a software engineer. I have a pretty good understanding of what's going on under the hood with all of these systems. That doesn't mean you have to. Like that is the whole point of this, is like you get the leverage without having to build your own stuff. But you should be, you should have some basic understandings or such. So, I kind of distilled these principles that are just, I stick by these. It's very helpful for me in like reasoning with this world because there's a lot going on with it. So like first one, AI moves miles each day. Anyone that says they're an expert or on the cutting edge probably isn't, myself included. You can easily spend all of your time like researching the latest and greatest, keeping up to date with all the news, like everything going on, or go find the workflow that like works best for you. Like that is my recommendation. Like focus on what gives you the leverage that you need to reach your end goals. Personally, like I lean heavily on Claude because I understand that ecosystem. I understand that platform the best. Like you could ask me about Codex or Gemini and such, and I'll be like, yeah, I know like a little bit, but it's what I'm deep on. It's what I understand. And the whole thing with that too is like, the more kind of meta point of that is like pattern match, because all of these tools kind of have the same underlying like fundamentals and principles. So once you understand how a skill works or like how you define an agent, et cetera, like, that is transferable between all these different platforms. So, look at the patterns, don't get too deep in the weeds on like any system. And most importantly, like just figure out what's going to solve your problem or what's going to facilitate you in what you're doing, what you are trying to accomplish. So, yeah, so, that's kind of the whole thing with it. And I would also say, like, when you get stuck, or, you're banging your head against a wall because you can't figure something out, just ask the AI, like, what's the problem? Or like, where is the like discrepancy in understanding? So Peter Steinberger, who created OpenClaw, was like, AI is an infinitely patient explaining machine, and he is not wrong about that. So, you shouldn't get intimidated, you shouldn't get stuck. We all do, but you can usually just talk your way through it with it, and you're both going to come away with the learning. Or ask it for feedback. I do that as well. Once we get to the end of something, like, hey, how could we have done this better? And it'll usually tell me. It's like, okay, that's how we can work in the future, save tokens or actually like solve the problem quicker, so on and so forth. So, and then same thing with like following the crowd. So the reason I say this is like, I was not an early adopter of OpenClaw, like January 30th or whatever. I wasn't like getting in there and downloading it and giving it access to everything and all of that, for the same reasons that a lot of people are reluctant. Like, I didn't understand enough about it. Like, I was concerned on the security side, and I waited until I could figure out how to like isolate it. And now that has worked my advantage, and it will work to all of your advantages if you have not like worked with it yet or installed it, etc. Because now, 4 or 5 months, whatever, have passed, and it's like, it's much more stable. A lot of smarter people have like kind of figured out where the problems lie, where the bugs are and such, have contributed to it because it's open source, and it's in a lot better position, and it's a lot more usable now. Easier to install, easier to set up, so on and so forth. So, that's kind of follow the crowd, but do it selectively. So we can get into my personal journey now. So this is kind of the evolution that you see with it, where, there's prompting, which we talked about. We do it every day with, ChatGPT, whatever. And then, I kind of went from there to co-piloting, where I'm just giving it a bunch of tasks to do. It can run all this stuff in parallel, get back to me. And it's like, okay, cool. Then I take it on my turn, figure out what's next for it, so on and so forth. And eventually where I've gotten to with it is just give it the work and let it run. So, I've done it numerous times late at night. I'm about to go to bed, be like, okay, here's a list of all these tasks I need you to do. Or like, I need these features built in this application because I'm a developer. And it's like, I'm going to bed, go figure it out yourself, use your best judgment, like, don't bother talking to me. And it will go off and we'll do it. And I'll wake up in the morning and it's like, oh, here's all this work for review. And I'm like, great, I haven't had coffee yet. I don't want to review this. Just merge it all in and make sure you're not going to break anything. Like, just be smart about it. And so far that's worked. Like, you have to be smart about it, but like that flow is what, that's applicable to anything and with what you want. Like, focus on the end goal and, let it kind of sort out the details itself and put yourself to, better uses with it. That's, it's very powerful, and you don't have to babysit it. That's like the biggest value add that you can see with it. And I'm doing this too with like a very simple flow. Like, I'm not doing this with, I don't have my OpenClaw set up like all tricked out and, all these custom agents and skills, like doing all this stuff because I'm super smart. It's like, no, I'm really just running this like out of like the most basic setup with it, but I'm getting all of this leverage with it. I could probably get more, but like, it's enough to serve what I need. And that's like, you can always go down the rabbit hole with it as well. Like, it's that practical balance. So that's where I come here and I say, it's like, anyone can set this up. Anyone can get going with it. Like, you don't have to be an expert. You don't have to understand it all. Like, you just get it up and running and start talking to it. So, okay. So demystifying the setup. So as we go into like installation and such, like I said, like, it used to be hard. Now it's super easy to do. So, you can literally just go OpenClaw AI, Mac OS, whatever, like, you can go come in here, just run this and it will install. There's also, oh, where is it? Oh, cool. Like apps. So, you can download an app that'll run alongside it and such. Like it's pretty easy to do. And this is like, you can get up and running, you can play with it. However, back to my point, it's a very permissive system. So I don't recommend just doing that like on your MacBook here with it. Who here like has heard of like the like, oh, go buy a $700 Mac Mini, install OpenClaw, and now you're cooking with it? That's the trend. Who's done that? I see. What, I got two. Nice. I applaud that. It's a smart way to do it. It's not necessary though. Like, if you don't want to go drop $700 to, get an isolated system and such, like, you don't have to. I run OpenClaw on my MacBook, so it's just running here. And if I close my laptop, then it stops responding to my messages. And I'm like, oh, well, I should go downstairs and open it again, I guess. But what you do instead, or what my recommendation is run it in a VM on your machine, so a virtual machine, essentially a computer inside a computer. There we go. Inside your computer, and that is free. It is easy to do. You can do it on Windows or Mac or Linux. If you're nerdy like that, like it is super simple. And what that does then is it isolates your file system, your files, like your personal data, all of that, away from OpenClaw and such. And we'll talk a little bit more on that and kind of just like the zero trust security layer with that. But that, it's a great way to do it, and it's recommended by the project. That might sound intimidating to some folks. It really is not. Like, when I did it, I just asked ChatGPT. I was like, okay, what's the best VM for Mac and setting up OpenClaw? And it was like, oh, well, just go read the documents yourself, and here's the instructions anyway if you just want to listen to me. And so, got it up and running, which was sweet. So there are alternatives. So there's cloud hosting, which is cheap too. It's like Hostinger's like $7-8 a month, but you can just run it on there if you want as well. But then, you're on the web with it. Like it's a little bit more involved if you're worried about like security and such. So yeah. Okay. And then, we kind of get into the whole data segregation and security and the concept of zero trust with that. Who here has like heard of zero trust before, like in terms of technology and such? Okay, a good amount of people. Anyone want to try to define it? No one's brave on it. Okay, that's fine. It's literally what the name is like, what? Always verify, never trust. And essentially that's the case. Like, you don't want to trust software necessarily, like, without some level of scrutiny, especially nowadays. That's the whole point of using a virtual machine. It's all isolated away at that point. And where you can go from there, and what I've done is just go create accounts for it. Like, it does not have my iCloud account. It doesn't have access to my Gmail. Like, I don't want any risk on that, because I just don't, you don't understand the system enough until you like really dive deep with that. And this is just it's a good way to just easily get up and going. The only part that sucks is you have to go manually create like accounts for it. So like what I have on mine is, iCloud, that's on my VM then. I've got a Discord account for it. I've got its own email address, its own 1Password account, which is like, in terms of like password sharing and password vault sharing, like that is perfect, because all I have to do is go drag like the passwords or whatever that OpenClaw needs into that, and I can tell it, hey, just go look in the vault, go find your password there. I do software development. It's got its own GitHub account as well. The only thing that's not like, separate is a Claude account, because I'm not paying for 2 Claude subscriptions. That would be very expensive. And so that's the only thing I have shared. And so that really reduces like all of that risk of any of your data getting exfiltrated. Like, people can prompt inject away on it unless you're telling it like, your deepest, darkest secrets or your social security number or whatever. Like, you shouldn't be doing that with AI anyway. Like, you can just treat it the same. Like, it creates a very, safe and risk-free environment for like doing stuff. That's like my takeaway with it. It gave me a lot of confidence with what I would have it do. I'm not afraid to let it just run whatever it wants on the VM. Like, oh, you want to go delete all the files or folders or something screws up. Like, great, I'll just go install a new VM image. Like, it's not hard. And I didn't just like blow my life away like if I threw this laptop in the street or whatever. So, yeah, so that's kind of where like the smart like balance for separation with all of that. And then it's like, why do I need all of these accounts? And that's like the core concepts with OpenClaw of integrations, like integrations and skills. So, if we go to their site, we'll get, all right, like what integrations does it have? You can hook it up to WhatsApp, Telegram, Discord, all of that to talk with it. So like in my workflow, I use Discord. That's the easiest, but for me personally, but you might have a different way that you want to do it and you can go forth and do that. Same with like what models. So I run Claude, I run Anthropic models on it, but you can do any of these models. It's super easy to configure. You can tell it to configure itself with it. The documentation's really good. It integrates pretty well with Apple. And then there's a whole bunch of, community supported plugins and integrations as well. So, we can see here like Trello, Slack, searching on X. This goes, you can go through here and like, oh, Polymarket, that's probably a cool one. Like it's got all of this that you can do. But this is where it's like buyer beware. Like these are not these are not endorsed by the project. So this is where there starts to become risk of like what you're installing and where there could be problems. So it's like you kind of have to do some more of your like due diligence in that sense to make sure you're installing something that's safe. But let's say like something gets through your review or whatever, because it's all isolated away, like you're still minimizing the attack surface for, what something nefarious could do. That's the whole nice thing about it. So, cool. So just kind of coming back then, so we've talked through, there we go. We've talked through the, setting up the accounts, like giving it its own accounts. Like, I have Discord provisioned. We'll jump into that and kind of work through some stuff. Like, I can talk to it now. I don't have to be inside the virtual machine. I can just message it on my phone, which I do all the time. And so with that, like, the only thing that's missing is like, okay, how do you share like files and folders and such? Well, you gave it its own iCloud account. You gave it its own email. You can set up Google Drive, or Dropbox, like whatever. Like there's integrations to support this stuff. I prefer Obsidian. Who here has used Obsidian before? Do it. It's awesome. It's very good. Obsidian is like it's pretty lightweight note taker, I would say, but it can be lightweight or it can be complicated. Like I keep it very lightweight, but you can do lots of fancy stuff with it. It's got its own plugins, so on and so forth. But to that effect, like everything in Obsidian is a markdown file. And if you've played around enough with like AI tools and such, like, AI loves markdown. So Obsidian is like the perfect, data layer, database, knowledge base that you can use with it. A good example is I have a channel in my Discord that I just call link dump, because I'll go browse the web, like get news articles or something I want to read. And by the end of the day, I have like 50 of them. And I'm like, I'm tired. I'm not going to spend my time with this. Well, now I can just throw them all in Discord, throw them at my OpenClaw instance. It will go in, go read the article, go fetch it if it's behind a paywall somehow, some way. summarize it, throw it in Obsidian, tag it, classify it, give me a daily digest the next day. And that's literally just talking with it, letting it go figure out how to do all that itself. I haven't, like, it did not require like almost any critical thinking on my behalf. Like, you can just let it do that for you. It's good to be lazy with this stuff sometimes. So, okay. And then, just kind of talking through the core concepts of OpenClaw. So, we have touched on these. AI gave me the beautiful analogy that OpenClaw is like a human body, where you have like ears and mouth, which are the like mechanisms to communicate with it. So like WhatsApp, Discord, Slack, etc. The brain, which is the LLM, like it's whatever model you want to use with it. You can set that up, configure it, you're good to go. And then the body layer, which is only hands, like that's like the tools. So like browser automation, scraping, Claude Code is a good example for like, me doing software development. Like, that is the hands that builds all my software and ships it for me. So that's, my example there. And then we talked on like tools and plugins and skills. You can customize your OpenClaw instance to like, this is where you start to get into like the fine tuning of it. And we'll take a look at that of like, what's the memory and the soul of your OpenClaw instance. So if you want to like make it, specific to your tone of voice or, you want it to be super focused on F1 or puppies or whatever, like, you can tell that it in kind of its core files there and edit those. And then the concepts as well of like automation. So there's scheduled jobs, which are crons. There's heartbeats, which are just like periodic check-ins. And then hooks that are event driven. So hooks is like the easiest one to like really understand, because you message in Discord, you message over WhatsApp, whatever, like it's firing off a hook to tell OpenClaw like, okay, hey, like there's new work to do, go forth and do it. So, and that's like, you can figure all that yourself. Candidly, I haven't done like a whole ton of that because, I just, you can keep it simple and still get a lot of leverage with it. Like that's a takeaway here to have. It's like, get up and running, start playing with it. You'll see how it improves your workflow. So, all right, and that's basically all of that. So now you've got this always on, fully autonomous agent, like sky's the limit. Like you have an idea, you want to do something, like shoot it in there, see what it comes out with, and, just rinse, repeat, keep iterating with that. And then just like helpful tips, like it's super powerful, especially like built on top of the AI tools. Like it's way more useful, I think, than, just doing stuff in ChatGPT or Claude. It's not as like perfect as that, like pixel perfect as them. So like it does trip on itself. Like you kind of have to nudge it sometimes. Like, and I think it's just like observing that behavior, kind of understanding how to, manage that, and you can go fix it if you want, or just adopt your workflow. Like, I haven't done like any configurations. I just work around it, and it's not super painful. And I got a good example of that. I've already harped on like figure out your flow enough on this. And then like this is debatable, but like my recommendation is like, stay a couple versions behind of like what it is. Like you can update to the latest and greatest. They ship every couple days with it, but it's still buggy. And they've had some problems in the past like month or 6 weeks with this. They're working on creating a LTS version, which is like long-term support. That's like the stable version to use. So, if you don't want to be spending your time, trying to figure out like, oh, why is it completely broken and now I can't do my work? Like, it's okay to lag a few versions. You most likely don't need like the latest and greatest. Security-wise, that could be debatable, but that's the whole point of putting this in its own machine and away from your data and like the sensitive stuff is like now you don't have that attack surface, you don't have that plane on it. So cool. So I'm just gonna jump into some like demo workflow examples here. I can also start taking questions as well for anyone that has them. Yes. So I use it to drive a lot of my software development and like projects and such that I'm, building, playing around with. I've done a lot of that from, they're more like on personal projects and like they can scale into, like more existing projects and stuff. I'm in the middle of doing that now, actually. But I think it's like it kind of depends on what you're using AI for. Like I would say that's like the first thing. So what you're, not to put you on the spot, but to put you on the spot, like what are you using AI for? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Can you see this? How's that? Is that better? Okay, I don't know. I have not looked at this in like 7 days. That's not bad. Okay, so I'm working on a project right now that is tracking cruise ships and capturing like their data as they move from different zones and areas and stuff. So this is like what I've been working on. It's not perfect. Like software takes time, so on and so forth. But like in Alaska right now, these are all ships with live data and positions of where they are. So, we can go look at this port here, Skagway. You can see there's, 4 ships in here. That doesn't have a photo. There you go. You can kind of get more info and such with it, the live position. All of this was basically done by OpenClaw. Like I have not looked at more than probably like a few hundred lines of code in this project. Like I've just been telling OpenClaw like, hey, this is what I want to do. Like do this. So like a good example there is, it's a good one on this. The articles. So these are just like SEO, AEO articles. And honestly, this is a good one too, because this is like, for people who just want to like create content or whatever. I know some cruising facts, whatever, which is how I got all of these articles here. And I literally just gave it like, hey, let's build the base of like, articles talking about all of these topics, go do some research on it, create the article, go post it to the site. And it just kind of ran and did that. Another one is all of these ships, you have to go get the photos for them. I don't have all the photos, or I do. I have an admin portal, and I could talk about this project forever because it's fun. But all these photos, like when I first imported all of these cruise ships, all of that data, etc., I didn't have photos for them, and so I just told OpenClaw like, hey, I don't have these photos. I mean, I'll just do it now because I don't have photos. So see what it does. Clankbot. Yes. Who here has played Ratchet and Clank? Oh, it's disappointing. Fun game, really fun game. Clank's the little robot in it. He's cool and cute, and that's what I went after. Go ahead. This is Discord. Yeah, so like if you want to use Slack, you can use iMessage. You can. Okay, so here is my VM, and like this is where a Mac Mini is awesome because it's actually fast. Like this VM is really slow to interface with and deal with. But it's running OpenClaw just fine. Like you saw how quickly it replied, and now it's off doing the work for it. But essentially, like with that, like you have this is like your internal OpenClaw like panel here. And what I was going to show in this actually, which is why I had it teed up, is like we're in the agents tab. These are the core files. So like here's your agents, soul, tools, identity, user. You preview these and you can see like, okay, I can go edit this to tell it more about myself, or tools like what do I want to put in here. I have not done any of this because I'm lazy and I've not needed it for my workflows and what I'm doing with it. Like that's kind of the crazy thing. And the like even crazier thing is just by working with like OpenClaw and working with this version and this existing agent of mine, like it has just gone and learned things about myself. Like it has gone and learned and figure out things, and it has like this relevant context as it pertains to like different Discord channels and what we're talking about stuff in and all that. Like that's all happening under the hood with it. I'm like I said, I'm kind of lazy. Like I haven't like gone and figured out what it's doing with all of that, but I don't need to get my work done or to like get the leverage with it. That's kind of like the whole core thing with it. And that's like super, super cool. And when I get some time and I want to, tweak my setup and make it better and all that, like the first thing I'm going to do is go like, come in here and have like an OpenClaw. I already put other stuff in here, but it's like, I'll be like, hey, we've been working together for 3 weeks. Like, we've done a lot across this whole project. Do a comprehensive audit and review and give me the best recommendations for how we can, make you better and more effective at your job. That's like the meta level of doing all this and getting it tuned. Yes. A graph memory. Uh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Mhm. I do not know the inner workings of. I mean, like Claude's the LLM running under this for me, so I couldn't context and all that stuff. Like I'm fuzzy on it, so like I'm not gonna have a good answer there. To me, it hasn't. Honestly, this hasn't been like a huge token burner. Surprisingly, like I'm always under my quota, but I'm also like on the Claude Pro Max 20x plan, which you know somehow like I like even churning out a bunch of software, like it hasn't been a problem with it. And I think it's just like what I would say is like if people are I've actually seen like good examples of this, like where I see people burn tokens a lot, like especially with Claude, is being like, hey, go create this PowerPoint presentation, and it just like burns through a bunch because you're having to format this into, PowerPoint with Microsoft and do all of that versus if you just tell it like, hey, go create a markdown file, like that's a lot lighter with it. So I think like, I haven't really had to struggle with that, which is, a blessing and a curse. But I like obviously when you scale up to an organization such as like HP and you have everyone using it, like it becomes a much more material issue with it. Hmm. Hmm. Well, and okay. Okay, well, I would hope Anthropic like already knows like this is like stating the obvious here, but for those that work in teams, like and you all have your own you all have your own subscriptions, whatever. Like, it I've seen this done in startups as well where you just do like account sharing. So you have like admin at startup.com and oh now everyone has access to, our dashboards or the Fivetran or whatever you're like, like whatever, so you don't have to pay per seat on the SaaS plan. I've seen that done. You can kind of do similar with OpenClaw, where like one person has the like Claude Pro 20x subscription, which is well worth it because you get 20x the amount of tokens. And you just run it in OpenClaw, and now everyone can talk to it. The one kind of trick though with that is, and like there was a whole hubbub where that was a problem with Anthropic. Like if you go host this in a data center, they're probably going to flag it, and you're probably going to get actually have to pay. But if you're running this locally, like it just tacks onto your subscription, which is how I do it, and I haven't had any problems. It's super nice that way. Same goes with web scraping. So like they will shut that down coming out of data centers like pretty quickly across most websites. But if you're running it locally, like that's a lot easier because you're not generating a huge amount of traffic with it. So it's harder to detect, which is nice. So go ahead. Okay. Going back to your question. So, we went and told it, I'm in Discord. I was just like, okay, go find the photos. I don't love using Creative Commons because there's attribution and such, but whatever. This is an example. So, oh, great. It went and found pretty much everything. I know it's going to be accurate because I've been doing all this with like photos, and it's pulling from Wikimedia, which is the best for that. And it's asking me, okay, well, like you want to download them, upload them to your storage bucket, and update your database with it, and you can literally just be like, yeah, just go do it. Great. I'm telling it, give me back the URLs so we can actually see if it worked. But it's as simple as being like, yeah, go do that. Like, and then tell me what, we could go through this, be like, now go audit the whole site and tell me like what sucks from a UX UI perspective. I could tell you right now that like, okay, these articles are all look like crap. So like go do something better with that. Which is actually what I did to prove out that all this works. Because coming into this talk, or a little bit before, I just created a new Discord channel, and I said, hey, I'm presenting the following outline at this AI meetup today. I want to show what you can do. So go create me the fanciest, coolest web page with all of this information and such. So if people get bored of my presentation, we can just go to that. And it was like, cool. The eyes mean it's working on it. And then, 12 minutes later, it said, oh, something went wrong. Having worked with this long enough, I know something did not actually go wrong. Like it just timed out on giving me a response. So this is like, if you look at my Discord, like this is the thing I say the most in there, which is like, hey, give me a status update. Like just nudge it. Like what's going on with it? And it instantly replied and said like, it's still going. Like it's still working. It's still doing stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, create a cron like to just run every 2 minutes and check on the status, report back here. It's like, great, I'll go do that. It didn't do that. I never got a status update on it. But that's like where, you know, you can start to go figure out why it did that, or tell it like, hey, you didn't do this. Like, what's going on? Explain it. What do I do to fix this? And, you know, that's where you start to do all of that. I never really care on that. I just keep asking it like, hey, I'm like a micromanager. I just go, hey, what's up? Like, what's the status of this? Which I did. And then it was like, oh, great. Site's fully shipped. It's been out for 25 minutes. You know, here's the GitHub repo with it and everything. It went and set up, you know, the site in Vercel, because I have the Vercel CLI set up on my virtual machine, all in its own separate account from like my main one. So like here's the link for it, and that is all right here. So here is our flashy cool site. Kind of drag the mouse, you see the thing follows in the back. You know, we can go to the talk, goes through everything. Yeah, it took, I told it flashy and like, don't make it look boring. Hold on. There you go. Yeah, we'll see what it says. But yeah, so what it said, yeah, so it finished at like 5:26, started at 5:13 basically. So, you know, it's probably, that might be why the cron didn't run, because it already had finished. But, you know, we could ask it, figure out. Hell yes. So it appreciates the feedback, Sharon. And okay, we're just screwing around at this point. I know we got like 4 minutes left. You know, these are a few examples. Oh, look, we're still getting. Yes, sorry, go ahead. I'd never see over on this side, so just like holler if you know you have something. Go ahead. Mhm. I mean, you tell me. Like, how's it been going? Hmm. Yeah, I think I would just say like buyer beware. Like if it was me, I'd be like, no. But I'm a software engineer. I'd be like, no. Like go set all that up in like a dedicated like server and have it write the code for you and like have it locked down, stable, so on and so forth. So like, you know, it's going to be dependable. But at the same time, it's like this has been pretty dependable. So like it's, you know, if it works for you, like it works. Like that's the whole thing with it. So I don't like it though because of what he was talking about, where token burn. Like I have seen people be like, hey, is this working? Or hey, what time is it? And it's like you're just wasting tokens like doing that. That's where like actual software works, because you're not wasting tokens after you build it. Like it's just running at that point. But then you have something maintained. So like it's varied with it on it. Yes. Yes, and that's going to transition me to the slides I almost forgot about, and then we'll be pretty much ending right on time. So like, thank you all for listening to me talk up here this whole time. Hopefully it was informative. Hopefully you learned something. The whole thing though is it's like, why care about this? Like, why learn about OpenClaw and such when you're happy with what you have? And you know, I've tried to sell it the best I can of like it will level you up. But the whole like kind of undercurrent and tone with it, like as far as like where AI is headed is like, you know, it really is kind of the iPhone moment. It's like it was a wake up moment for all of the frontier labs because like this was doing something that they were not doing. This was doing it better than them, and you know they have huge teams and all these dedicated resources, and so that was like, you know, this has been kind of a big pivotal realization in it. And to that point, like the reason to learn it is this is where it is headed, and it benefits you directly because you are going to be like ahead of the curve with that. And I think like the best example I have there is like in the Anthropic platform, like they started doing this way back, like where there's like Claude Cowork and Claude Code Dispatch, where now you can message it on your phones. I started using it. I was like, wow, this is kind of shitty compared to like just messaging in Discord and like, you know, then you're trapped in a platform, whatever. But everything in here where you have agents and, you know, you're kind of setting everything up, your skills, your batches, like everything that they have been adding in here is all already done in OpenClaw. Like OpenClaw has been leading the way with this. And the reason I say this is like for people who work in big corporations and like, you know, companies and such that are just starting to figure out how to implement and introduce AI, like you start to kind of become the smartest person in the room and understanding like where this is going to go and help like shape that strategy or have influence or just like be smart about how you leverage these tools, which, you know, is I think a huge advantage that, you know, people can take with it. So and then we've basically gone through all of this, so read it as you will. Yeah, and we're right at time, but I think we can do some more questions, Sharon. What? Yeah, yeah. I think it's just like, I mean, I've been using, yeah, it's easier, it's lightweight enough. Like Slack used to be. There you go. That's the answer. Yeah. Yeah, and it's like, I don't know, you can craft the flow correctly on Slack and like use threads, and like anyone who's worked in a big company on Slack, like Slack hygiene can really suck. Discord's just easier with that. Like I could, like that's the whole thing is I just spin up a channel, and I'm not good about like not commingling things, but I'm trying to be better where it's like spin up a channel, have it focus on something specific so that context memory stays in there and leave it at that. But yeah, yeah. Hmm. Yes, let's, yeah, let me, and that is to my point of like, you know, you don't want to yeah, figure out your workflow, figure out what works best. Yes. So, and this is my Obsidian right now. Let's just see. So, and I think I had it like create all of this. Okay, so this is the cruise migration site. I started an Instagram account for it. Got like, this is Obsidian, yeah. I got like 100 followers in 2 weeks of just like organic posting on it, which was cool. And I actually get traffic on the site, which I was like, oh, that's surprising. But I haven't looked at it in like 2.5 weeks. So, but that's cool. Like, it's all driven by OpenClaw doing all this, and I know I could do better with it. And that's like the flow I'm trying to figure out right now. And that applies elsewhere, applies to other businesses and such. But yeah, anyway, here's Obsidian, where it's like, I have my different projects. Like right now, it's mostly like, cruise migration. I have like an investing project, and I just have like notes that I'm just like dumping train of thought into Obsidian. And then I can go tell OpenClaw, hey, go organize these, create like the thematics, like classify what matters, what's the most time relevant, so on and so forth. With this, I use Git, like in GitHub. That is like it. Anyone using AI should figure out how to use GitHub. It's easy. If you get stuck, just go ask ChatGPT, or Claude Code. If like you screw up your Git repository, I just tell Claude Code, I'm like, hey, go fix it. I screwed something up. But basically, like, same applies with like Google Drive, et cetera, where you just have like a centralized store. So now you can talk to this virtual machine where you have OpenClaw running, and you're not like at risk of like kind of breaching that barrier and getting like keeping your own like folders and files and such away from a machine that you don't necessarily trust. Like, hopefully you have more confidence after this talk that like, oh, it's all manageable and such, but I still don't fully trust mine. I feel better about it, but that's because I've spent a couple months playing around with it. So go ahead. Yeah, it's all configurable. So I don't know if I'll find it, but that's thank you. Thank you. That is where the VM concept will fall on its face very quickly, because like if you don't give it a bunch of RAM and CPU and you're running things locally, that's where it will get sad quickly. Hmm? I put it up at this. Yeah. Yes, we are. Yes, scan the code, stay up to date. Sharon's got a lot of cool stuff coming.